All right. I know I'm late tonight, a little bit. Tonight I was at Van Dusen Gardens in Vancouver. That was after dropping my cats off at my cousin's. So, Carrie, if you're watching this, thank you very much. My two elderly cats, elderly, so to speak. Um, the oldest cat I have is like 14. It's Maggie. She's a wonderful kitty. And the second oldest is Link, who is also an amazing cat. Wait, did that happen? Wait, the Leafs won again tonight? So, it's kind of funny. I've been talking about the Leafs a little bit, and I know there's some people who think I'm doing it just for views, but um, they're getting close to a playoff spot, and they're fun to watch. So, even though it looked like it was Kadri that scored the overtime winner, okay, I'll forgive that. But yeah, it's fun. But I just finished watching the Oilers beat the Kings. I got home and watched the last few minutes of the Oilers beating the Kings. What is going on with LA? I watched them sleepwalk through a game against Vancouver, and now they score one goal against Edmonton. What is going on in LA? Like, I know they're technically in a playoff spot right now, but it's only because, or are they? I think they are. I think I honestly right now I'm going. I don't know that they're in a playoff spot right now because they've got those three losses in a row, and the standings are really in flux here. The other thing going around is speculation that the Avalanche are going to move one of their key pieces. Duchesne seems to be everybody's favorite. If you're a Canuck fan and you think that Edler in a second is going to get you Duchesne, you're insane. If you think the Avs are after Edler at all, you're insane. If you think anybody right now wants Alex Edler at his cap hit and with his current performance level, you're insane. Yeah, no, LA is still in the playoffs. Um, Only because they're in the same division as Dallas. They're 1 point up on Dallas, 1 point up on Winnipeg. Winnipeg's got to start making some hay here. They've got to get their act together. Florida loses again tonight in overtime against Montreal. So that turned out. Boston beat Buffalo. They finally found a team they could beat. And Jersey beats Washington. Of course, why did you go that way? I didn't want you to go that way. Anaheim's leading Calgary 3-1. Only 3 minutes left in that. There's no point in me turning that game on. Chicago beat Nashville. Columbus won again. Minnesota won again. Detroit beat Ottawa. Dallas beat Colorado. So Dallas found a team to beat. And the Rangers whoop Arizona 6-3. I have to say that of the games that I've watched, watching games of Arizona and Colorado are equally miserable. Their fan bases have to be completely miserable right now with the product on the ice. And I say that as a fan of the Vancouver Canucks primarily. It has to be rough right now being a fan of either of those teams. So let me know in the comments what you think's wrong with the Kings. I think they're just simply not as good as they were a couple years ago, and I think the cracks are starting to show. I think the weaknesses in the team are starting to show. Um, and losing to Edmonton, that's huge. I mean, for Edmonton right now, and I have a lot of comments on my channel like, do you think Edmonton will make the playoffs? I understand Oilers fans being insecure, but you're 5 points clear right now in terms of being in the playoffs. So you're 5 points ahead of the team that you need to stay ahead of to stay in the playoffs. Barring an extreme collapse, yeah, the Oilers are a playoff team. I can't see a collapse taking place. Cam Talbot has been solid. Love the Ghostbusters mask, gotta say. That's a fantastic mask. And you know, everybody talks about McDavid, but when Draisaitl's going, the team's pretty damn good. And their blue line is underrated. Nice to see Graba got a goal tonight and get some acknowledgement for what he does for the team. There's a lot of under undercard players, so to speak, the guys who don't get all the attention. And I've said in many videos before that those are the guys who win you hockey games over the period of over the length of a season. In order to be a playoff team and to be a contender, you have to have their secondary guys. In Toronto, I think a guy like Hyman. In Montreal, like I guess Shaw. Shaw qualifies as a secondary guy. Um, it, it, there are secondary guys who have to do it if you're going to separate yourself from the rest of the teams because every team has elite players. It's a matter of who's got that really good third and fourth line and who's got that solid top six, who's got two goaltenders that can go if one gets hurt. That seems to be the difference between the guys who are up at the top and the guys who are not. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see where things go as we get back into the really rough schedule and we get into the January games. Also, almost up to the point of the midway mark of the season, we're getting close, and it'll be interesting to see where things turn from here. Um, but yeah, out of tonight's action, which games surprised you? I'm kind of surprised that Toronto went into Tampa and beat them. Not surprised that Montreal went in and beat Florida. Florida's problems are continuing; they're snowballing, and you know we're up to 37 games now. And if it wasn't for those 8 loser points, they would be well below 500 and considering selling. As it stands right now, they are, oh, with Boston's win, Boston pulls 4 points clear of Florida. Florida's a game in hand. But Florida's only won 12 games in regulation or overtime. Boston's won 17. Even Toronto's won 15. So, you know, Florida doesn't win a tiebreaker against anybody. But with that win tonight, Toronto pulls within 5 points of the playoffs. I don't know what's going on. And Tampa needs to get it together. Tampa desperately needs to get it together. I know they're missing Stamkos, and apparently it's hurting them a lot more this year than it did last year. But you know they can't afford to miss the playoffs. They really can't, and yet they're 4 points below that line. And again, Philly goes on a 10-game winning streak, and what does it win them? The second wild card spot because their division is impossible, absolutely impossible. Washington, New York, Pittsburgh, and Columbus. And Columbus is on a 14-game winning streak, which means that Minnesota's measly 12-game winning streak gets kind of pretty cool attention. Um, and Minnesota is sitting 1 point back of Chicago right now with 3 games in hand. So, you know, Minnesota could very well be the class of the West. Columbus the class of the East. I never thought I'd see the day, honestly. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're just passing through. And what surprised you tonight? It seems like some of these Canadian squads that were viewed as also rans, maybe they're making the playoffs this year. Maybe this is the year they're going to do it. At the very least, they're making it interesting. And yeah, let me know what you think. It's kind of fun to watch. It's kind of nice to see some different teams in the mix this year. So yeah. And for those of you out there who don't mind some gardens and Christmas lights, Van Dusen Gardens is kind of fun. We were there for almost 2 hours, which for boys it gets kind of long. But if you have a girlfriend or if you have a wife you want to impress, I'll tell you Van Dusen Gardens in Vancouver, that's the place to go because there's all kinds of romantic little spots and you'll thank me later. All right, and thanks for watching, guys. I will talk to y'all again real soon.